It's a Thursday evening, which means Matthew Dench, Jackson Resende, and more are ready to go back at it for 50 minutes of intense GT3 racing. The North American Racing League round number 3 at Interlagos is coming at you live here on PitStopTV. JP Costa, welcome back virtually to your home track. Glad to be here with you and our colleague Trey Shuttlesworth for more NARL GT3 action, especially at a racecourse as stunning and remarkable as Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. JP, I would certainly give this course walkthrough a shot. I know the more notable corners, such as the Senna S and Curva do Sol, Descida do Lago, Pico de Pato, whatever. I know most of them, right? But I can only do this course so much justice. Go ahead and feel free to walk us through this place, and by all means, do so in a little bit of Portuguese there as well.
Well, first things first, thank you for having me back. It's just so amazing, to be commentating on my home track. I absolutely love this circuit. But as you mentioned, it's just a fantastic racetrack. A kind of a short walkthrough after the start-finish line, and then a heavy braking zone into the turns 1 and 2 sequence of S do Senna or Senna S, and then a long turn 3 or Curva do Sol. Then we go to the back straight, Reto Posta, a heavy again braking zone into this turns 4 and 5 sequence of the Descida do Lago. And then a small uphill straight as drivers head into the 6-7 session, Ferradura in Laranjinha. And then obviously small but heavy braking zone into Bico de Pato, turns 8, and then a sweeping left-hander into Pinheirinho. Again, a small uphill, so it kind of goes up and downhill all the time into turn 10, and then we go into the dive, Mergulho, turn 11. An important corner, the car can get loose, so it's kind of tricky, and then obviously Junção. The last braking zone in the circuit, and then turns 12, 13, 14, and 15 all flat out. So turns 12, it's probably the most important corner on this racetrack, because otherwise you're just going to be left hanging up until turn 1.
I would certainly agree, and even in the previous layouts here at Interlagos, which there have been many, one pretty much doubled the racetrack length. It felt like years back. I think that was a rather important corner. I'm not even going to try and attempt that corner name, but certainly was an important one, even in the old layouts here at Interlagos. Well, thanks for joining us this evening on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter platforms. So glad to have you here in the virtual Sao Paulo, Brazil. Round number 3 is sure to be an exciting one, especially with the point standings beginning to take better shape, JP. This is how they come into things after last week at Road Atlanta, where Matthew Dench scooped up victory. Certainly not without a bit of controversy, a little bit of contact there with Jackson Resende, but Matthew Dench was our race winner. Joshua Benjamin is bested, but holds on to the points lead. Blake Scott finally gets a race win in the AM category, and this is how things shake out.
Yeah, I mean, look at how close the championship is. Obviously, unfortunately, we saw a collision between Jackson Resende and Matthew Dench on last week's race. But, I mean, the championship is extremely close. He has a 14-point gap to Resende's teammate, another Canon Brazil eSport driver. So those two are going to be close, but look at that, 14. And then when you look at down to 8th place, 19 points. So it's all to play for. Obviously, Fabio and Jackson, they're going to have essentially a home track advantage here tonight. And when you look at the amateur championship also, it's extremely close. I mean, Joshua has a 13-point gap, but William Coffey, and then you see just that gap, small increments. So everything to play out here for the pro and amateur category.
Yeah, it's a decent spread from 1st to 10th in each category, pro and amateur, but you have a lot of really tight battles, especially in that pro category. You've got you've got 2nd through 8th place, all separated by only 5 points. That's what I was trying to go for there. The fact that those, 7 drivers, 6 drivers? Yeah, 7 drivers are all separated by just 5 points. There's 2 separate ties in there. I mean, it's pretty incredible. So a lot to look forward to in round number 3 this evening. Certainly a lot to watch out for. This is our schedule, if you're wondering. We come into round number 3 here at Interlagos, Nürburgring next week. I'm still looking forward to some rounds like Suzuka and Red Bull Ring. I think those two might be catching my eye the most.
Yeah, those two are definitely going to be really important. The one that catches my eye, obviously, is Small Sport. It's kind of the odd sheep out in the calendar. Essentially, we do see all those racetrack, except I kind of Road Atlanta and Donington Park. We do see those racetrack in big name motorsport like Formula 1, but most sport kind of just stands out as a bit of a more of a tricky one. It kind of just challenges the driver a bit more. But obviously Red Bull Ring as well, a brand new addition to iRacing, and I'm pretty sure these guys are excited to race there as well.
Yeah, a lot of premier circuits on this schedule, several of them taking F1 dates and others taking IMSA dates, and so on and so forth. So a lot to be looking for throughout this entire first season of the North American Racing League. Let's transition over to practice currently. You can see some race cars on the racetrack, and well, Fabio Zamperlini is not quite leading. There's Jackson Rosende. He is currently leading in practice. We'll take a look at the practice standings with 4 minutes left in this session, and you see a lot of blue in that top 10.
Yeah, it's not something we were seeing last week. We saw it kind of split up, but this time looks like the pro drivers have kind of edged themselves ahead. But look at the gap, even in practice, 29 thousandths of a second between first and second. But second is not the name we're kind of used to seeing. Normally we see Matthew Dench in that second place or first place, but a new name there, and Fabio Zamperlini just a 10th off his teammate in third place. So this could be interesting to play out for the Canon Esport drivers.
Yeah, I think it's, I guess, to be expected towards the top of the scoring sheet. Rosende and Zamperlini are quick. I am noticing Scott Reister is also very quick in that 242. What's interesting is how far back guys like Kimbrough and Niederbach and Tenorio, they all are. Even Harry Wills and Alex Trevor within the top 10, but multiple tenths back of our top 3, and then things kind of bunch up from there. So the top 3 very close, within a tenth of one another, but then there's that big gap back to fourth, and then they get tight once again. A lot of drivers getting up to speed, even guys like Tyler Campbell that we've seen in so many series here on PitStopTV. Glad to see him making his return to the series, or at least maybe his first or second start in the series. And a lot to look forward to here. We're going to take our customary pre-race break now. We'll be right back to you momentarily with more coverage from Interlagos, round number 3 in the North American Racing League.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Autodromo. Jose Carlos Pace. We're just going to go with Interlagos the rest of the evening. I'm sure, JP, you can rattle that off each time, but boy, it's a bit of a tongue twister for me. Glad to be here joining you this evening on the iRacing.com sim. Glad to be joining you here this evening from the virtual Interlagos. The track between two lakes, it is certainly a fantastic circuit. It has been home to some fantastic finishes lately, some fantastic races in general within the Formula One calendar, and just it is a solid little racetrack. I say solid little racetrack. It does check in at 2 2/3 miles, so it is relatively sizable here, JP, and it's certainly going to be a bit of a test, I think, of these drivers.
Yeah, exactly. It's not necessarily small, but it's not as big as some other racetrack. But it's a short, fun racetrack, I guess. It goes up and downhill overtakes are possible in pretty much each and every single corner, and that's kind of what we look for into a race. You know, sometimes it's nice seeing a race that flows nice into qualifying, seeing a one car pace, but this track, it just provides great racing throughout its layout, and I think that's one of the things that we kind of do love about this racetrack, and one thing that definitely provides great races throughout, I mean, pretty much each and every single category.
Certainly, there is a lot to be happy with in this layout, a lot to look for as well. Cars getting on the speedway for the first time now in qualifying. You just saw that session switch over. This is Alex Treber now in a Mercedes for FTR Esports, working down the backstretch. Several other drivers, most of the field, in fact, getting out there for their first attempt at qualifying. There's his teammate in Tyler Campbell in the other FTR Esports machine, the number 233. Several other drivers getting out here. Here's Chad Klinger out of the West. We got Russell Burton on the speedway as well, one of the AM drivers in a Porsche. Let's go up to pro category now. Here's Aldo Secklin working out of the pit lane. He's just listed as international. Several others getting onto the speedway, including, of course, Jackson Resende.
Interesting seeing the car choice. Resende has stick with that BMW since race 1, but some other drivers have changed. But we see it. I'm pretty sure we have each and every single manufacturer here tonight. We do see Resende in the BMW. We saw 2 Mercedes. We saw Porsche. We saw Lamborghini as well. So, I mean, it's pretty much essentially, I guess the BOP is kind of just so close that it just comes to personal preference. You know, seeing a front engine car and a mid engine car, and then we see like similar cars, for example, the Mercedes, another front engine car. So it's just kind of interesting to see how it kind of switches up everything between these drivers.
Here comes Micah Barnett to begin his qualifying run. He's already onto the front stretch, passing. I'm not even going to try it again, actually. He'll just go onto the flag stand under the couple of bridges here across the front stretch and go down to turn number 1. He's using a lot of that painted area on the racetrack, JP. It's not exactly off track, but it does look like it.
Yeah, it definitely does look like it, and it's definitely not flat as a smooth surface, essentially. But obviously, the GT3 cars, they do have the benefit of ABS, so that kind of helps out with the braking zone, essentially on those bumpy parts. As you're going to see Fabio Zamperlini using the same, essentially, line, just using half a car over that painted line, those bumpy circuits, but the ABS just kind of helps keeping the car in one piece, essentially, not locking up the tires and not making the car run wide into turn 1.
So qualifying fully underway now. No drivers have completed a time just yet, but we'll pop up the ticker for you to take a look at. Chad Klinger might be one of the first that gets around. He is currently working into kind of that infield section, and there's a lot of corners to try and keep up with, JP. What would be your tip as far as keeping up with where we are on the racetrack?
It just comes with knowledge. I guess this part, obviously, he's coming down into turn 9, into Pinheirinho. So it just kind of comes out. Obviously, for me, it's a bit easier. You know, I'm kind of a local boy in Interlagos, but, you know, it just essentially knowing if the car is going uphill or downhill, you can kind of identify that within the infield section. And obviously, the massive straights, you can see essentially the background. Obviously, the grandstands or the back straight. So it just kind of, you get used to it with time, but, you know, it's just a matter of getting used to it, essentially.
Yeah, it's certainly a difficult one to get your head around, and Chad Klinger is working around the front stretch, but he's not the first one to take a ton. That was actually Micah Barnett, who we were taking a look at earlier, and now Joshua Benjamin joining him up there on the timing sheet. Ian Lake as well in his number 222 Porsche. Scott Kimbrough going to the top of the sheets.
Sometimes are extremely close. You can see Tenorio and Barnett kind of really within 4,000 of a second. Rister, now Resende, the Brazilian driver, obviously coming into first place. We do have a saying here in Brazil that normally when we race in Interlagos and iRacing, we do get a free few tenths of a second. And Resende is definitely putting that in, but Rister, actually putting 24,000. Kimbrough 52,000, and Zamperlini exactly 1/10 off of his teammates. So it's extremely close between the top 5, essentially.
Yeah, good stuff so far from Zamperlini. You see him working through Desierto do Lago now, and he'll head through turn number 5 up to, again, that kind of infield portion. It used to be several different corners and kind of a different configuration. Now it really does, honestly, feel a bit like a Roval, doesn't it, JP, where you have just the outer kind of shell of the racetrack, and then you get into this, and it feels like the infield at Charlotte or Daytona. Like, it obviously is not an infield section, but it almost feels like it.
Yeah, exactly. The previous layout felt a bit more like Spa, I'd say, you know, just kind of open, massive straight. This one exactly feels like a Roval without the walls, so essentially, I guess we can call it something like that. So it's definitely challenging. It's definitely easy to go off track. Obviously, you don't have essentially the barriers to do extended amount of damages to the car if you go a bit too wide, but you definitely don't want to go too wide because you just lose tons and tons of time.
Currently watching Daniel Tenorio out of Ohio work around and complete his second qualifying lap. These guys, I believe, only have 2 laps to work with, and Scott Kimbrough to the top of the timing sheets as it looks like Tenorio is going to hold tight in 8th. Now Scott Reister goes up top in his number 242 Mercedes. Good time from him. Now all eyes turn then to Jackson Resende, and he's just gone through this NAS, so he is not going faster. Neither is Fabio Zamperlini. It looks like they're in the same spot on the racetrack, doesn't it? It's actually Resende takes a spin.
Yeah, looks like Resende improved just a bit his time, and he jumped into 2nd place after Kimbrough beat his time, but not quite enough. And exactly, Zamperlini did not improve his lap time as well. He's 4th place, 0.2 of a second behind, but I mean, what a lap by the 242 driver. I mean, that was, essential to get that lap in, because definitely is going to be upsetting Resende to not get that pole lap in his home racetrack. But if he still has enough time and still at least one valid lap attempt left, he'll definitely go for it.
Other cars on the track, here is Rob Rodriguez, let's try that again, out of New York. I believe one of our newcomers in the number 125. So you'll notice he doesn't actually have his number board there on the ticker just yet. There he is in 26. So we'll have to get that for he and Valdez and I believe one other driver before next week at Nürburgring. I believe that is, Hewins in the 197. But it's good to see Rob Rodriguez, try and say that 5 times fast, out here and joining the field. Stu Leslie is also out there. He's coming around to complete lap number 2, it looks like, in the AM category, and he will go across the line and hold firm in 29th position out of 32 to qualify so far. Some other drivers getting on the speedway. Here's Tyler Graff in the number 126. Won Paint Scheme of the Week a couple of weeks ago, right after the first round at Hockenheimring.
Definitely deserved this. Definitely a nice paint scheme to look at. Definitely eye-catching, that black and white, and obviously the stripes, essentially. I guess that's a pink, yellow, and blue stripes. I absolutely love that livery. Definitely a well-deserved of the award. But I mean, let's talk about that top 10. It's not something we saw from the past 2 weeks. We don't see a single amateur driver there. So kind of the pro drivers elevating, I guess, the level of driving by putting it all 12 to top 12 are pro drivers. So kind of not pressure building, obviously, to the amateur drivers. We don't really expect them to go against the pro drivers, but it was definitely fun seeing those guys kind of put a challenge between the pro drivers.
Aldo Secklin for Radicals Online coming around and completing, it looks like, potentially lap number 2, or even, I think he's coming into pit. This is some pitting practice, which perfectly illustrates the fact that you can really push to the top of the hill. The pit speed does not go into effect until you come up over that crest. That's where that yellow cone is to begin pit lanes. So you really can push up that hill and use it to slow you down. Bruno Alcaraz ending his run. Here's Giuseppe Rivas, I believe, who is potentially mid-run or coming around to likewise end his run and just go ahead into the pit lane momentarily. But most of the field has qualified. Just 2 cars have not, those being WF Amaro Jr. and Derek Dennis, the 184 and 150 respectively. But 35 cars then have qualified. That's the good news.
Yeah, it's amazing to see this many cars qualifying. Obviously, Interlagos, you do have a chance of just clawing back through the field. It's much, much easier to overtake than Road Atlanta we saw last week. And, well, those guys that probably didn't put the qualifying lap that they expected or didn't qualifying for some odd reason definitely will be thankful that they're Interlagos. And as you mentioned, that pit lane entry, you go uphill, so you kind of do have that to help out on the braking zone, so you can kind of just brake so late and just risk it all on a pit entry. And just as I mentioned previously, I mean, the 156 Manriquez goes into 9th place, so an amateur driver, just as we mentioned, upsetting the pro drivers, putting his car in the top 10 qualifying spot.
Yeah, how about that from Josue in the number 156? I know he's got a bit of a fan club out there, so by all means, guys, cheer him on. He could certainly use it. He will be starting, it looks like, from within the top 10, sorted out into a bunch of other pro drivers. His first amateur competition is going to be Bruno Alcaraz in the 12th spot when we go green flag racing here in a little bit. So certainly Josue doing a great job there in the number 156. Here's Jackson Resende, still on the track, but coming in now to go ahead and take some pitting practice, and you can tell he has been in the barriers rather aggressively, rather hard, and that will end his qualifying attempt. It had been over for a couple of laps there, JP. Just go ahead and he was just taking some extra laps, which I love to see from drivers, using that extra time, using laps that are not scored to get more practice.
Yeah, exactly. There's no such thing as too much practice on a racetrack. It's obviously good, and it kind of does help as well, because when you have a damaged car, sometimes it just handles different. It just, it reacts different to your inputs. So sometimes you get a bit of practice with the damaged car, and that can help out in the race. You never know when you're going to get involved into a collision. Obviously, sometimes it's not your fault at all. So it's just kind of good to get practice in each and every single situation possible.
I would certainly agree with that one. We're getting ready to roll right into our grid here this evening for round number 3. So glad once again that you're joining us here on PitStopTV. I want to thank the NARL GT3 series partners, Race Lab, Tam Livery, and J Solution. I believe was what it is. I have to refresh myself actually on that. 1 week away will certainly do a lot to your mind. JS Consulting, that's what it was. JS Consulting. The JS kind of had me a little bit confused, but we will tell you more about each of those partners here in just a little while. Meanwhile, cars getting onto the grid to get going for round number 3. Let's walk you through all 30-some drivers. Starting on pole, it is Scott Reister. How about that for the 242 with Jackson Resende to his outside. Starting third this evening, it's none other than Scott Kimbrough with Fabio Zamperlini in fourth. Starting fifth, we're going to have the 245 Jack Niederbach from FTR Esports with Harry Wills to his outside. Starting 7th, it's Alex Treber from FTR Esports with Micah Barnett next to him in the 8th position. In the back row of the top 10, it's Josue Manriquez, there we go, the lone AM driver in the top 10, along with Daniel Tenorio out of Ohio.
Starting off in 11th place, we do have Aldous Hecklin in the 266, and right alongside him, Bruno Alcaraz in the 144. Starting off in row number 7, we do have Giuseppe Rivas in the 271 and Chad Klinger in the 109. Starting off in row number 8, we do have Joshua Benjamin in the 178 and the 197 of Spencer Hewins on his outside. In row number 9, we do have William Coffey in the 157 and the 167 of Blake Scott on his outside lane in 18th place. And finishing off the top 20 in 19th place, we do have Tyler Campbell and Mark Scott on the 20th place.
Starting 21st this evening, it's Billy Bowerman, one of the newcomers in the 102, followed by Federico Tamayo in the 112. Starting 23rd this evening, it's Armando Bejaran in the 205, followed by Mike Braun in the 107. Starting 25th, it's going to be John Sedlak. Starting 26th, Ian Lake. Starting 27th, it's none other than William Valdez with JP Alfonso alongside. Starting in the 29th position, Rob Rodriguez and Russell Burton. Starting in the 31st position, Stu Leslie, then Clarence Rosa, Sean Patterson, Tyler Graff, and Philip Ranieri rounding out your list of qualifiers. Derek Dennis and the number 184 of WF Amaro Jr. did not take time. So that is your starting grid from Interlagos. So many cars for us to try and keep up with. It's certainly a large list, and it looks like a few may even be opting to go ahead and start from the pits. And we've got a stack up further back. I'm not sure who that was. Was that potentially... Oh, was that one of the Scotts? I think that might have been Blake Scott, actually. Yes, in that BMW. He might have some damage. Might have also been the car behind. But what we do know is we're coming around to take the start here momentarily.
Well, that's definitely not ideally what you want. So now we're going to have to see what Scott is going to do from that pole sitter. Does he wait up until essentially the checker, the start-finish line to go ahead, or does he go early? Obviously, if he goes early, he does give Jackson Resende the benefit of the slipstream. So it's just a matter of strategy at this point.
Slowly through the final couple of corners, through 14, up to 15, we go, and we will wait on the signal from the starter out of Subida Dos Boxes, waiting on the start for Scott Reister and the entire NARL GT3 grid. There it is, green flag in the air, and we are racing at Interlagos. A very good start for Scott Reister, but it's 3 wide behind, and that is Zamperlini in the middle. Huge accident. Huge accident.
Big crash. The Lamborghini is still rolling on. He does come back to the circuit. Luckily does not collect everybody, but that's race over for at least 3 cars, and 3 cars within the top 6. top 5, sorry. So wow, what a massive crash. We're gonna have to take a look at the replay even on turn 3. And I was looking, Fabio was going side by side on the exit of turn 2. He just kind of gets loose, allows the Ferrari to go on his outside, and at that point in time he's just on a sandwich. The BMW kind of closes the door, and that's just wow, unfortunately collects everybody. And at that speed, just wow, that's a massive crash for the Lamborghini.
And Niederbach went on with Zamperlini doing barrel rolls, but one lap now is about to be complete here in just a few more corners. Scott Reister still leading the way in the number 242 now into turn number 12. A little bit off track. I don't think that's going to hurt him, but out of turn 13, he's going to come around and claim here momentarily the first lap lead.
Well, that's definitely the perfect start. He does, unfortunately for him, does Jackson Resende still probably within that 1 second barrier, as you can see, 0.8 of a second behind. So he is benefiting from the slipstream and probably will save a bit of fuel at the beginning. Not probably going to attack, but they do have, thanks to that instant, a massive gap back to P3.
You look at everybody coming on through now. I do want to try and kind of do some investigative work and figure out exactly who that was that got into that incident along with Zamperlini. I know it was a Lamborghini. Was it potentially, I recall kind of the colors, and I think it may have been, it was along the colors of that 197 of Hewins, but I'm not sure if it actually was Hewins or not. That certainly looks like the car involved. I wonder if it might have been his teammate.
Well, we're probably going to have to take a look, but it was just so quick that it happened. And that Lamborghini, we were just saying, the 197.
You know who it was? I think it was Scott Kimbrough. He is in the pit lane. I do want to get a quick look, and yes, that is who it was. It was a similarly colored BMW, not that Lamborghini. So it was Scott Kimbrough who came across the nose of Zamperlini and kicked off that big incident.
It was just an unfortunate set of incidents, kind of just pushing everybody. At that point, probably his spotter did not warn him that he was going 3 wide, but looks like our leader is already approaching some left cars. My eyes have mistaken me. I'm probably mistaken on that end. So, but yeah, just an unfortunate incident. Already ended 3 cars race, and also, you know, Zamperlini probably not the result that he wanted on his home track race.
Several cars still working their way through. The top amateur driver is still Josue Manriquez in that 6th position. And Josue has got a fantastic run going so far. This is really cool to see here, JP.
Yeah, exactly. This is absolutely fantastic. His previous best result was a 5th place on his class, and he's already leading on the top 6 overall. So he's doing a fantastic job. He's keeping up with Barnett and Wills up ahead, just a second behind those two. So he's doing a fantastic job. Interlagos, you know, just brings out the best in each and every single driver. So it's just amazing to see. And we do have an incident, looks like, on turn 1.
Several drivers involved here. Joshua Benjamin, Blake Scott, a couple of, well, the 2 race winners so far in the amateur category having problems here. No, that was Mark Scott, not Blake Scott. And more cars having problems, and Mark Scott collects a McLaren. And that was WF Amaro Jr. who gets a little piece of that. So big problems here in turn 1. And given that these are some of the better drivers in the AM category, we have got to take a look.
Yeah, exactly. These are some of the championship contenders, so definitely not ideal. As you can see, that BMW looks like it's already suffered a bit of contact. The Mercedes go down the inside into turn 1. You can't really dive down there. And, well, he does get the move done. Oh, the BMW just kind of, one just cuts away, and that Lamborghini, unfortunately, does collect it as well. So, kind of an odd incident. At that point in time, everybody just tries to back up to avoid any further instance. And, well, everybody just comes back together, it looks like. No question. But does that McLaren gets away cleanly? Yes, he does. So
no, not quite.
Oh, just on the end, just a small door tap. May have gotten away with it without any damage. But I mean, what a bad luck. Camaro started from the pit lane probably to avoid incidents, but unfortunately does get kind of collected on the exit.
Look at this interesting dynamic. Scott Reister following, not race leader, but that is Fabio Zamperlini just in front of him. So if we find Fabio right here in the 36th position, yeah, he is leading our leader currently around the racetrack. So this is on board with Fabio Zamperlini into Desito del Lago. This is going to be a problem for Scott Reister, especially with Resende behind.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, obviously, blue flags will probably be in effect, but he's definitely not going to make this easy. Look at the gap that Resende. He's already down to half a second. It was 9/10 a few laps ago. He opens, he completely gets out of the way for Reister, kind of make it difficult, and completely gets out of the way for his teammates. So, yeah, great move. Definitely helped out his teammate. Probably didn't hurt Reister that much, but definitely closed in the gap. Only 0.4 of a second now.
Yeah, I like that move because it eliminated the issues there for Scott Reister. I like that he got out of Scott's way and let him go on by.
Yeah, exactly. He got out of the way probably on the best part of the circuit. You definitely don't want to be held up on the infield part, on the infield section that we like to call in sector number 2, because there's absolutely no way to pass. And when a left car is in front of you, you're probably going to lose tons of time. So he definitely got out of the way. He gave Reister the benefit of a slipstream throughout the back straight and into between turns 4 and 5. So a great move.
You can see the entire front end of the field stringing out throughout the top 10. The AM race leader, there we go. Still Jose Marado Manriquez. He's got some 6 seconds currently. Back to Chad Klinger. This could be a breakout run for Chad.
Yeah, exactly. But look at that. Oh, Chad just gets overtaken down the inside by Blake Scott. So Blake absolutely, well, kind of just demolishing our point there. Just goes down the inside of a damaged BMW, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the front end does not look 100% healthy, but I'm pretty sure Blake is not going to want that to be done so easily. Will he dive down the inside of turn 4? Not quite. He'll hold something back, and that Lamborghini is also damaged. So some of the amateur drivers holding out a bit of damaged cars early on in the race. Definitely not ideal, but they do have the benefit of a fast repair on the pit stops.
Headed down to turn 6 now. I should say up to turn 6. You can see Chad Klinger in tow of Blake Scott looking for a way around. And this is Spencer Hewins, brand new to the series, in this 9th position overall, 4th now in the amateur category. This is a really strong running so far for the 197 Lamborghini.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic debut. I mean, he's challenging Blake Scott and Chad Klinger. Already technically in the 4th place of the amateur class. And, well, essentially this could be second within eventually in the race. If he keeps his car clean, he'll definitely save a few tenths of a second within that fast repair. And I mean, he'll be on the podium essentially in the top 2 on his debut. You cannot really get much better than that. Obviously the 1 spot better is the win, but he's definitely going for it.
Certainly a pretty solid debut there for number 197, but it's all number 242 up front, and Fabio Zamperlini has not dropped off of these guys, proving obviously that he had the pace to contend potentially for a race win, and that just stings even more so. I think I'd rather be slow after getting wrecked like that, honestly, but to have the pace like Fabio has and be taken out so early, that is rather painful. About 8 and a quarter minute, 8 1/3 minutes into the race now, 41 and a half still to go here to just about 6 seconds. We do want to remind you about the partners here at the NARL National. Gosh, I am just not getting it tonight. Tonight is not my night, JP, but it is the North American Racing League. There we go. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Tam Liveries offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. Used by pros and amateurs, you will definitely look good on track. JS Consulting, however, provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League website design and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. And speaking of John Sedlak, he is currently riding around in the 13th position overall. I say riding around, he's just in front of Bruno Alcaraz. Granted, Bruno's in a different class.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting to see. Again, those, oh, look how close Bruno got within that BMW. A lot of BMWs kind of with damage on the grill, so probably a sensitive point within the damage model. That Porsche is definitely not making it easy whatsoever, but look at this slipstream. The straight is just so massive. Well, definitely we're gonna see, ooh, look how close he gets to the tire barrier. Well, the BMW dive into the pit lane, so probably an early stop already. Could we think about early strategy for him? Probably an undercut.
It feels a little bit too early. He may be coming in for his fast repair. I think that might be the move here for Alcaraz. I think this is just a little bit too early. He does take a fast repair. I believe these drivers do have 2 allotted to them. So, quick move there for Alcaraz. It does seem like he may have topped off on fuel, though, so maybe his pit window opened up, and he just wanted to go ahead and make that move. That is certainly a possibility, and a good read there, of course, by JP Costa. Here's the battle for the race lead. Jackson Rosende all over Scott Reister.
Well, he's definitely applying the pressure. Now, I'm not pretty sure what the strategy will be for Rosende, if it's all-out attack at this point, or he's just applying pressure, trying to force Reister into a mistake and saving fuel at the same time. This is definitely going to be a big point if he can save enough fuel to jump Reister on the pit lane. You know, some drivers, obviously, these guys can think about strategy on the point straight after lap 1, so it's going to be interesting to see, does he get close enough to make a move, or does he just stick back and just proves that he has the pace to keep up and eventually jump in on the pit lane?
It's hard to say, and I do think Resende will likely end up forcing the hand of Scott Reister later on. That seems like the way these battles go. Certainly historically, as we watch on board from Reister back to Resende as he gets oh so close there in the beginning of the Senna S, turn number 1, and now down through the rest of the Senna S and Curva do Sol onto what I call the backstretch, what the rest of you call, what is it, Reta Oposte or Oposta? Reta Oposta, there we go.
Yeah, that's the perfect translation. It really, literally translates to Reto Oposta. So, perfect translation, just back straight, and then obviously they go downhill and then uphill again into sector number 2. But as you mentioned, Fabio Zamperlini is just so close to these two. I mean, he just, obviously he showed on qualifying, he had the pace essentially to be with these guys, but I mean, look at it, he's just providing a rear gunner situation, but he doesn't really need to. He's all the way back, unfortunately, after the lap 1 instant, but look at how close he is. He's not dropping back. He's just keeping up with these guys.
Yeah, staying within frame of our 2 race leaders, even though he is in the 31st position, it's looking like. So he is working his way through the field, it seems, but still quite a ways back now as he works down through turn number 11 and turn number 12 behind our race leaders. And it does look like Scott Reister is about to have some brand new lap traffic up ahead. It's hard to say exactly who that is, but if I had to guess, I dare say that could be Aldo Secklin after his pit stop, and it looks like it is in the number 266. Very interesting. I guess he must have been involved in an incident. He took a 2.5 minute pit stop from Radicals Online.
So could possibly be a tow as well back to the pit lane. So if it is a tow, as we do see, it looks like an Audi on the exit of
Derek
turn
Dennis.
2. Yes, that Derek Dennis. So probably got lose, I guess, out of turn 1 between turns 1 and 2, because that's not an unusual spot you see a GT3 car hanging by. But obviously now Reister has a brand new challenge, which is lapping cars, and that really will play out in the hands not only of Resende but also his teammate, because obviously his teammate will just benefit. Drivers will be getting out of the way for the lead battle, and well, he's just less than a second back. He will just overtake him as they get out of the way, so this could really benefit Zamperlini on the longer run.
Scott Reister coming up to, well, it's just labeled as S. And I like that name. That's easier for me to say. Turn number 8 now down to turn number 9. This is a really wild section on the racetrack. I actually really like running it in any car. It's slow paced. You have that little bit of elevation change. And what I like is you drop down into that bottom line in some of the corners. You can see the way the corners are kind of cambered. And I was taking a stock car around here earlier on. We were talking about it before the race. I was using a late model actually to just take some laps around here. And it felt really interesting. But what I could really feel in the late model was the fact that you kind of drop into some of those corners. You don't feel that as much in these GT cars.
No, exactly, and the fun thing about some of these corners are where it just allows so many different lines. You know, sometimes you can run really tight and actually gain time. Obviously, you're going to lose time a bit on the exit, but overall, you just gain time. Sometimes you want to go for a really long arc to essentially, you know, just get a greater exit. So it just allows, and obviously that will play out in the hands of Reister and Resende. Sometimes you have to close that door. Something we saw in the Grand Prix, actually, the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix between Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton. You can't take that tighter line and still make the corner, and still actually, you know, not lose a lot of time. It's a viable option for overtaking. So it just provides so many different strategies for the attacking car and for the defending car.
We've talked a lot about our top 2 in Scott Reister and Jackson Resende. Further back, we find these guys. Alex Treber in 3rd, then Harry Wills in the 4th position, Micah Barnett in that 6th spot, and then Josue Morado Manriquez a few seconds back of these guys, but still in the neighborhood. The big thing, though, is these guys getting into their own lap traffic. Now going by, it looks like that should be Derek Dennis in the 150, and a pass attempt there. Interesting, that lunge from Harry Wills almost made contact with Alex Treber.
Yeah, that's the thing we mentioned. You know, you can just run so tight. Sometimes you can try to dive bomb a car, but obviously the run is just so short that it doesn't really give an opportunity to just, you know, outbrake someone. Harry Wills is definitely trying to try his best to get past Treber, but you know, Treber's just putting in an amazing defense at this point in time. They kind of drop back from the leader 6 seconds at this point, but I mean, this battle is gonna keep on going, and with them being on the same car, Wills is definitely going to be benefiting a lot from the slipstream, because Treber is just going to be punching that clean air in front of him and just allowing that pocket of air for Wills to close in.
Yeah, there's not so much of that balanced mix match, is there, between like a, oh, he almost got into him there in turn 1, but like the Lamborghini and the Audi, they have a pretty similar balance in that they're rear-engined and on the same platform realistically, but put one of those up against a Mercedes and they're completely differently balanced, being that the Mercedes is front-engined and has a lot of power going straight to the rear wheels. So definitely big differences between a lot of the platforms here in the GT3 class on iRacing. Another battle happening further back is the battle for second place, and well, actually no, third now in the amateur category. Chad Klinger still leading, well, not leading, but leading the 197 of Spencer Hewins around the racetrack. These guys battling for 8th and 9th overall, again for 3rd and 4th in the amateur category, and nothing has changed here. I'm interested by this. Well, I say that, and here we go. Hewins going for the pass, and he's going to make it stick.
Wow, that's an amazing move. I mean, he got a perfect exit out of turn 4 and turn 5, and he just sticked that car on the inside, and absolutely nothing Klinger can do. These cars just don't essentially have the downforce to run side by side up the hill into turn 6 and 7. Amazing move on the inside, and well, he's definitely on a run. He's now on the podium for the amateur class, and well, he only has 2 cars in front of him to try and make it to a win.
And the 197 is looking really, really good as this race evolves. We're almost 20 minutes in, which is 2/5 of the way through this race, and he is looking really strong moving up through that amateur category. This other little battle right behind these guys is Giuseppe Rivas and Tyler Campbell. This would be for the top 10, well, the 10th position overall on the racetrack anyways, and Tyler Campbell wants it.
Well, we've been talking about balanced cars, and we're seeing just, you know, essentially the same car battling the same car. We just saw 2 Lamborghinis fighting. Now we're seeing 2 Mercedes fighting. So essentially everybody's just being brought together.
No!
Oh! Completely missed his braking point, and I mean, what an avoiding action.
Yeah, what a catch there from Tyler to keep from going into the barriers and having bigger problems. That was a really, really good save from Tyler Campbell to A, miss Giuseppe, and B, save the race car. That was impressive.
That was amazing. He definitely got saved by the ABS there. If that was a GT, it probably wouldn't have been the same scenario, but I mean, that was just so amazing. Great reactions to avoid a collision. But look at this, we do have another battle between 2 Mercedes and a BMW, 3 front engine cars, and oh, looks like the BMW is trying to be a bit opportunistic on on turn number 9. Probably didn't quite make that move stick, but well, these guys are battling hard for that final podium spot.
That they are. This is aggressive racing between Harry Wills and Alex Treber and Micah Barnett. Harry Wills just grabbed this 3rd position a few moments ago back in the first sector of the course and got by Alex Treber, and then Treber shut the door on Micah Barnett. We're not going to take a replay of that because this is just too good to leave. I mean, these guys could have had any kind of moments in that kind of infield section that we keep talking about in around turns 8, 9, and 10, and they almost did have some moments. They got very, very close, especially Micah Barnett and Alex Treber, and now Alex has the run down to turn number 1. He will go. He's out to the outside now of Harry Wills, looking for something, but it's just not going to work.
Well, he kind of hang around the outside. Unfortunately, he did not, but look at the cutback line. He's going to get a much better exit. Oh,
that was Fabio.
Yeah, looks like he got involved with the McLaren of Amaro, so unfortunately for him, a second instant, just as we were looking into a battle, and he finds himself stranded between turns 1, 2, and 3. Well, that's going to take some time to get out of that situation, out of that place, because everybody's going to be passing through him now.
Yeah, that's a really bad spot to sit on the racetrack, and unfortunately there's really nothing he can do. He is still there, waiting on his opportunity. This might be it. He will go ahead and take it. There goes Fabio Zamperlini rejoining the race course. Just heartbreak keeps on coming for the driver of that Lamborghini. Meanwhile, this is 3rd, 4th, and 5th still in the pro category and overall.
Well, these guys are still going to go at it. Barnett at this point, I'm pretty sure he's just trying to find a gap. He's just waiting for these two to go side by side within a corner, essentially, just to get a better exit and slingshot his way into P3. So at this moment, you just kind of do have to hang back. You know, I'm not really sure if you want to be battling with the car ahead of you to allow, obviously, 3rd place to essentially get away. So you just kind of hang back, save a bit of fuel, learn the driving techniques from both drivers. He has a prime position to learn from both of them and learn their mistakes. So, you know, it's kind of just a waiting game at this point for him, at least in my opinion.
I can't disagree there. What I will say is that it seems like Harry Wills is just a little bit faster through the, tight and technical portion of this racetrack, Sector 2, if you will. But, oh, there's a shot in the shorts. I've not seen a bump and run with 2 GT3 cars, but we just saw one for the first time, at least that I can recall. Harry Wills moved in turn number 1 by Alex Treber.
what did I mention? Barnett was just waiting for. He was waiting for something like that to happen. You just stick back and wait for something big happen so you can take two free positions, and that is exactly what happened. So unfortunately, essentially a bump and run what we saw. Obviously, not as clean as NASCAR sometimes, but Alex
No, not at all.
just missed a bit of his braking point. Obviously, he's just carrying so much speed at this point. You can see the car just closing in. That Mercedes logo getting bigger, bigger, and bigger, and unfortunately, just breaks. I mean, that's like 2-3 meters, maybe just too late. But at that moment in time, you're just carrying like what 3, 4, 5 kilometers an hour is too much, and that's the result. Luckily for Harry Wills, only 2 positions lost. So not the end of the world. Obviously not ideal, but could definitely have been worse.
Yeah, in class he only lost a couple of spots, but overall he did lose a position to Josue Morado Manriquez, who is now into top 5 position here in the AM category. This is really big stuff for Josue. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the driver of the 156. He is listed as none, which makes me wonder if he might be out of the country of Mexico. I know that has been added rather recently in the sim as a club, and I don't think it's made its way into ATVO just yet, so I wonder if that is his country of origin. But regardless, Josue doing a great job.
He's doing a great job. I was looking at his gap between him and Blake Scott, and that gap has kept itself at 6 seconds ever since the start of the race. So he's just kept himself out of battles on clear air and kept it consistent, and he's just doing a fantastic job at it. He's just keeping himself clean, and well, he's just running away with it. 6 seconds, that's a great buffer to have if you have a small mistake on the pit entry, on the pit exit. It's just great to have, and this battle is still alive. It's something that we saw 2 weeks ago and last week within Matthew Dench. And now we're seeing Scott Reister just doing it the exact same, not cracking under pressure, keeping Resende at bay. Now the question is, will this be a repeat of Hockenheim? Will Resende just save enough fuel to jump on the pit lane?
Meanwhile, some drivers taking to the pit lane. Here comes JP Alfonso as well as William Coffey. Some of our amateur drivers. William Coffey coming in. JP Alfonso, we already saw him. Here's Stu Leslie, Sean Patterson, and more down the pit lane while our leaders try and get it going and do some battle for position. I wonder when they pit. We are working up to that halfway point here, JP, so we could see it at any point in time from either one of these two.
Yeah, exactly. And the beauty of having essentially a short road course is it allows you to save a bit more fuel just to go an extra lap. Obviously, on a longer circuit, it's much more difficult, but on this one, it allows. So if Resende saves a bit more fuel, he can go for the overcut, sorry, and Reister obviously will be trying to go for the undercut. But I mean, these two are just so close. If the gap goes down to 3/10, goes to 4/10, and none of them are making a single mistake. It's just amazing to watch.
This is really close between these two. Even still, we're almost halfway through this race. We will be in a minute and 15 seconds. So 75 seconds until we are halfway in this race. And these two are just a couple of tenths apart, which makes me wonder if Jackson is just straight up faster. And it's certainly a possibility. As they work into turn number 6, they do have lap traffic up ahead. This could be a problem for Scott.
Could be a problem for Scott, it could be a problem to Resende, depends on, oh, he just gets out of the way cleanly. So not a problem for both drivers, so they both clear himself out perfectly, and they can get away with their battle again. I mean, it's just gonna keep on going. But look at that train. Did you catch that on the corner of your eye? It looks like 3-4 cars ahead of Reister. So this could be a prime moment to think probably about a stop so you can avoid this train. That's 3 cars in front of you battling for position. So, I mean, that's definitely something that his spotter will probably be thinking about.
And these are cars on brand new tires as well. They are at least not, maybe not tires, but at least a new fuel load. They've just pitted, so they don't have to pit again. So there's no potential of them getting out of your way through the pit lane. Tyler Graff and William Coffey and more have just come in the pit lane. And Scott Reister, Jackson Resende, they stay on the racetrack as well. So no relenting there. Bruno Alcaraz, he made his stop 9 laps ago. The highest driver that I see that has pitted so far is none other than Chad Klinger here in the, looks like, 20th position overall. So he's actually behind Bruno Alcaraz, who pitted 9 laps ago. Otherwise, nobody in the top 20 has even sniffed the pit lane just yet.
Yeah, some of these guys are probably going to be waiting until the last possible minute. Obviously, they do prefer to run the cars dry at this point in time, but look at that. Resende is definitely turning up the pace now. If he was saving fuel right now, it's the time that he's definitely burning what he's saved. He's definitely applying 110% pressure on Scott Reister. And well, at this point in time, if he doesn't crack under this amount of pressure, he probably won't at all. But you know, this is just gonna be common to see up until the moment these two go into the pit lane, and that's just the trust that these guys have. You know, they're running at so high level that you don't need to essentially worry about a mistake from either one of these two. And I mean, look at it, the gap is 0.2 of a second, not something we saw all race long.
They are getting really, really close. They are staying really, really close. They do have that lap traffic up ahead, but I mean, this is remarkable between these two. It looks like Resende has backed off a little bit. You got to wonder if maybe Reister plans to pit and Resende wanted to buy himself some time, or maybe even if Resende wants to pit. So we'll see exactly this time by if either of them finally come down the pit lane for fuel. They shouldn't have to make any tire changes, just that fuel stop, but no, they're going to go another lap. So we'll follow then the battle a little bit further back with Alex Trevor and Michael Barnett, and one car spins around. That's W.F. Amaro Jr.
Looks like the McLaren driver is not having the best of luck at Interlagos this week. Unfortunately for him, looks like that's his second spin if I'm not mistaken. But looks like this one was on his own, and unfortunately he toes. He was just short of the pit lane. Looks like we do have a car exiting the pit lane just alongside the lead battle, and he gets out of the way. Now, essentially for Resende, he needs to be as close as possible as Reister laps these guys, because as soon as one of those lapped cars gets away from Reister, he has to jump in that gun essentially to make sure that that lapped car does not get into the racing line back in front of him. So he has to keep that gap within 1, 2, 3/10 of a second. We're gonna see a possibly, yeah, just as we mentioned, you know, he has to keep it within that barrier to make sure he does not lose any time whatsoever.
So Reister still leading the way, 22 minutes or so to go, as we're still waiting on some of our leaders to go ahead and come down the pit lane. It looks like Harry Wills has finally done so, his stop has been made, but our race leaders still have not pitted. We're waiting on them, and I would expect them probably this lap. This seems like a little bit far to go already, but I would imagine that we might finally see them come in this lap. This is the 18th lap, and if they don't pit, then we'll just continue to keep saying this lap, this lap, this lap, because I can't believe they've gone this far. I would have thought that at least one of them, there we go, they don't pit this time either. I would have thought we would have seen one of them come in. Meanwhile, that lap car who rejoined the racetrack just behind these two comes back down the pit lane. Alex Trevor still following behind the footsteps of Micah Barnett. These two stay on the racetrack, as well as Jose Manriquez. And further back, Tyler Campbell is still battling with Giuseppe Rivas.
And I mean, it's just battle after battle. Essentially, everybody except Manriquez is battling on the racetrack. We can see Giuseppe Rivas obviously battling Blake Scott at that point in time. And looks like he does get the move done. Looks like it. Yes, he does. Ian Lake as well battling a Porsche against a Mercedes. So the battle between the German supremacy. But the Porsche unfortunately goes down in the pit lane. And it's so difficult to judge when Reister will make his pit stop, because he's the lead car. He's the one that's doing, I guess, the longest mileage on that tank. It's not like we're watching a battle for 10th that we can react to what the leader does. He's the leader. He's the one that's been driving the furthest. So he's the one that has to have the lowest amount of fuel on his tank.
Yeah, you make a pretty good point there, but I still think by now one of them would have made the charge down the pit lane, but we've seen other drivers within this top 10 opt to stay on the racing surface. A problem here for Michael Barnett. He has just gone off in the midsection of the course, losing a lot of time. I don't know if there was contact or not, but he is pretty slow to get back going. Finally does so now, but taking the wide way around, and that's problems even further for him. We'll see if our leaders pit. They do not, so let's take a look back at what's just gone wrong, potentially, for Micah Barnett.
No, something big is going on, because he's definitely not rejoining the track. He went wide into turn 10, so probably a bit of contact. I'm not pretty sure if his suspension damage obviously could be something
I think
personal.
It's going to be equipment failure here.
Yeah, it could definitely be. The car
because he just goes straight right there. He just brakes left, goes off the racetrack.
Well, that could be, I mean, it could be pedal failure, brake failure at this point in time, because that car was not stopping, and that's not a corner where it's just way too heavy of a braking zone.
And he's stuck in fourth gear there. I can only imagine what's going on. Now he's in fifth, and that explains why he was so slow. But if we go back live, he still has really not picked it up too much. He is into third gear and slowly coming around the track and now into the pit lane.
Yeah, so he could definitely, well, it's not 100% brake failure because obviously he's slowing down for the pit lane. So not really sure what happened. It's definitely unfortunate because he was running in the podium position. That's going to promote Trevor into the podium position, but really unfortunate to see something like that happen to one of these guys.
Yeah, certainly, especially for Micah Barnett, who was having a great run in that Scuderia Chicken House machine in the 2.59. Is this the lap that we finally see our leaders pit? Lap 20 of 33, maybe. We're on board with Resende, and Reister's making the move. There he goes. So race leader Scott Reister pitting. Jackson Resende stays out.
Well, now we're going to have to take a look at how long does Reister stay on the pit lane. We're going to have to take a look at Resende's essentially sector times because he's definitely going to be flying at this point in time. He has no fuel essentially on the car, probably just enough for one lap. So this is going to be a qualifying shootout for Resende. And well, Reister nails the pit, essentially the pit stall at this point in time. So he has to have just enough fuel to make it to the line. Remember, Resende is going one lap further, so he has to put at least one lap less of fuel in the car. So that's going to be at least a few tenths of a second that will help him out on the ladder run.
13.6 seconds there for Scott Reister. Here's Alex Trevor in the pit lane. We've got Josue Morado Manriquez in as well. Here's Tyler Campbell in the 233. John Sedlak of JS Consulting coming down the pit lane. We've got Armando Bejaran coming in. Daniel Trenorio. So everybody that had not pitted just yet is coming in this lap. But isn't this what we saw at Hockenheimring from the Canon Esports drivers of Fabio Zampolini and Jackson Resende, where they went that extra lap? It seems like a carbon copy of that strategy.
Yeah, exactly. At that point in time, if you do not get the lead before turn one, essentially before lap one ends, you just stay back and you save a bit of fuel. It seems like the smart choice to do. Obviously, unfortunately, you kind of frustrate yourself not passing, not leading, but, it can help out on the long run. And we're going to see that now. We're going to see if it paid off. All that times just holding back, saving fuel, lifting and coasting. He's going to be the last guy to come into the pit lane, exactly like he did in Hockenheim. And we're going to have to see if it pays off just like it did 2 weeks ago.
Jackson Resende down the pit lane. He did win that race. Great call there, winning that one over Matthew Dench. But into that second pit stall, I believe. Yep, second pit stall. Pit stall number 22, right behind pit stall 23, where pole sitter Scott Reister took residence. Waiting on the comparison between pit times, Reister with a time of 13.6 seconds. That's a second faster than Alex Trevor. The time in the pit box is a half second quicker for Jackson Resende. Where is Scott Reister? He is still behind this driver. Scott Reister coming up alongside here. He comes through Curva de Sol, and it has worked, at least for now, for Jackson Resende.
And look at that gap. It's much, I mean, 2 seconds essentially he saved just by staying on fuel. You can see Scott Reister, not pretty sure, is just weaving a bit out of frustration, trying to warn Amaro, trying to get out of the way. Oh, he does get contact. So he was essentially defending for position, and
I think that was a lap car.
Oh, that's the worst possible outcome that could have happened to Reister just after coming 2 seconds behind his essentially rival for the race. You're going to have to take a look at the replay to see essentially what happened.
And Scott he's throwing the car around to try and get the lap car to back off. I don't know who this was, but this is simply unacceptable. That is just unacceptable in every right. That is apparently the 27th position car. That wasn't Chad Klinger. Who was that? Was that the car ahead? That was JP Alfonso, and I'm sorry, but that was simply unacceptable.
That you definitely don't want to be battling the leaders that hard. If they go defensive, you do not fight them, especially obviously if they're second or first place. You can't, obviously you're allowed to battle the leaders if you're faster, but at that point in time, I mean, you just kind of back off. You don't dive down the inside of the race leaders.
So you can see he's already challenging them into the braking zone here. He was racing the car further back, Stu Leslie. Maybe he thought that Scott Reister was also for position. I'm not certain, but you can see he's gapped Stu Leslie at this point. This is around Curva del Sol. This is coming to the incident. Race leader Jackson Resende coming out of the pit lane up ahead. You can see again that move quickly. And I mean, this is not okay.
No, you can see the Reister just kind of darted the car twice to the left to warn, okay, I see you, I'm going defensive, don't challenge me. Essentially you just back off, you lift a bit at that point in time. You're not going to lose half a second, 0.8 of a second by lifting and just following the leader. But you definitely don't go diving down the inside, especially at turn 4. That's not a diving corner, essentially. And, well, unfortunately, that really hurt Reister. He's still in second place, but kind of not what he wanted. He's 10 seconds away. He was 2 seconds after Resende made his stop. So definitely robbed Reister of his essentially win hopes.
Yeah,
you know?
a chance to win. Yeah.
It's just so unfortunate to see.
Again, that's simply irresponsible, unacceptable, ridiculous, whatever adjective you want to give it. That just cannot be allowed on a racetrack when you've got a driver challenging for a race win and sorting that stuff out coming out of the pit lane, especially so close to Resende. He had given up the race lead, and I think part of that was because of the battle there with that lapped car. But I think even so, the strategy had just worked for Resende, and we don't get to see how that was going to work out now, and that's just not okay. But we'll move on from that with 13 minutes to go, thereabouts, and a little bit of change. Alex Treber is in the third spot, just a little ways back now of Scott Reister, but with no company behind. So this could be really big for Alex Treber as Stu Leslie comes down the pit lane, and it looks like Alex Treber will try to work by Derek Dennis in the 150 Audi, and he will do so there into turn number 1. And now Alex Treber suddenly is licking his chops. He's got a chance to go up there and try and run down Scott Reister for second.
Yeah, exactly. The gap is 3.7 in this moment in time, and I just saw Scott Reister around turn 12 making a big mistake, missing the apex by quite a few car lengths, so that definitely hurt, and you can see the gap going down 3.5 at this moment in time. So the gap could be coming down. Obviously, frustration will be settling for Reister as we do have another car spun around on the exit of turn 4, looks like it. So quite a few mistakes happening at this moment in time on the racetrack. Obviously, around 13 minutes to go. You definitely want to be making your move at this point in time. But the gap is coming down, 3.2 right now. So Treber looks like he's the faster Mercedes driver at this point in time.
Only time will tell. In all of this excitement, Josue Manriquez has solidified himself as the amateur class leader. There he is in the Hobby Shop 156. I got to double check the team he's with. He is competing in this series for Studio KO, and that is a beautiful teal, purple, silver, black, all kinds of colors Ferrari 488. That is a proper paint scheme there in the 156 car, and in 4th overall. This is really working out for Josue.
I mean, can we talk about this? I mean, we haven't talked about it obviously a lot because he's not battling anyone. He's just running his own race, but he has done that without mistakes. He has not got himself into an incident. That car looks crystal clear without any touches whatsoever. He kept himself clear on the start of the race where we saw a bit of carnage, and he just gapped. I mean, that gap is already up to 8 seconds. Looks 10 seconds right now to Blake Scott, the 2nd place on the amateur class. So he just kept himself clean, run away from battles, made no mistakes whatsoever, and he is in an excellent position to take away the win. Obviously, I don't want to go with my commentator's curse. That has already killed a bunch of races in the past, but he's doing a fantastic job.
And the next car that he's got, oh my goodness, that was Bruno Alcaraz around. I was going to say the next car that he's got to worry about in that category was Bruno Alcaraz for the moment, who has just gone around in Curva do Sol. So big problems for the 144. It looks like that car just got loose and into the barrier. He has gone. He was just in front of Tyler Campbell. Now he falls to 11th overall from 5th overall. My goodness, the issues for Bruno Alcaraz there. Loses 6 positions in that spin, including positions in class to guys like Blake Scott and Spencer Hewins and Chad Klinger.
Yeah, that's definitely not ideal, and that's pretty much a carbon copy of what we saw from Resende in qualifying. Probably just pushing a bit too much on the exit of turn 2, probably just dipping a wheel on the grass on the curb, and that is just enough to spin that BMW. Exact same car on the exact same corner. Unfortunately for him, but look at Harry Wills. He's closing in the gap after that small incident into turn 2. Obviously, he's battling with a car that is on a different class, and he's closing on Giuseppe Rivas, and that could be big. You know, any point that these guys will take, and we saw how close the championship is, they will take it.
Yeah, Harry Wills does have to go through Chad Klinger to get up to Giuseppe. That would be for the next position in class. Great read there from our own JP Costa. 10 minutes to go here, JP. The race has kind of all but blown apart, hasn't it? Especially for the race win, with Jackson Resende clean out to a 10-second race lead. Although it is beginning to narrow, I think that's just from Jackson working through lap traffic and sitting back a little bit, understanding the gap that he has. Now, actually, it looks like it has corrected itself to 13 seconds, so we stand corrected. He has opened up more of a gap.
Yeah, he has opened a gap, but looks like Scott Reister just does not have the pace. Yeah. I'm not pretty sure if that was enough damage. The contact seemed very, very light, but obviously that could just upset the driver. You know, you were fighting for the lead and unfortunately get spun around, but this is definitely helping Trevor out. The gap is down to 1.5. It was 3.5 5 minutes ago, so he's definitely closing in the gap. If Reister does not pick up the pace, he could be in danger of losing that second place.
Absolutely. It's that second car in front of the car that we're centered on. So the Mercedes kind of center right of your screen is Alex Trevor. There he is in the number 230. The car 2 cars ahead in front of that red and white Lamborghini is the car we're talking about in Scott Reister. There he is. So this is the battle for second place. So while one battle has been just completely destroyed, another battle has been born, and it is the battle for second place in the racetrack and second place in our pro category. Very interesting then. Alex Trevor has really picked things up, but hey, this is an opportunity for Alex to get up there and again try and get a spot that he otherwise would not have had a chance to go for.
Yeah, 100%. He just, unfortunately, obviously, due to that early race battle for third place that he found himself into, and probably the pace and qualifying probably did not allow him to have that opportunity. But look at Reister. He's falling under pressure from a Lamborghini right behind him. I'm not pretty sure who that is, but that Lamborghini driver seems to be eager to try. Oh, he just pulled out of the way, but he seemed to have the pace, so kind of falling under pressure, but obviously ran out Trevor. But Reister, I mean, he just completely soaked the pressure from Resende, but looks like right now he's cracking a bit under Trevor, so kind of interesting scenes are developing here with 8 minutes to go in. Well, if Trevor gets any close, he'll have the benefit of the slipstream, and well, we know how big that front straight is.
Could you make a joke there, cracking under Trevor instead of cracking under pressure? I think that one kind of sets itself up as, oh, Scott Reister's nose gets chopped there a little bit. Scott Reister is having the worst luck with lap cars this afternoon. I mean, this is getting a little bit rough to watch. Oh, and you know what? That's that same car up ahead, isn't it? That is the same car, I believe, in, yes, that is JP Alfonso. We'll take the onboard then with Alfonso and see how this goes up to turn number 1, because the battle for second place is on. Here we go. Alex Trevor has caught Scott Reister and is on the back end of that Mercedes. 2 Mercedes going at it to turn number 1. JP Alfonso finally gives way to these 2, and we've got a battle for second.
Now the battle is on, and look at how close these 2 are. Probably not close enough to make a move into turn 4, but if he has the confidence on their braking and probably the exit out of turn 3, probably could be close enough. Looks like not quite at it, but I mean, the pressure is definitely going to be building. Look at it. He's probably close enough to make a move down into turn 4. Can he put the nose in? No, not quite. Well, this is
just there it is, the mistake.
Oh, he cracked under Trevor, looks like it. So
and
that joke finally
off.
Worked. There we go. So, oh, looks like the McLaren's off again. That Lamborghini kind of just does an avoiding action beautifully. But something has happened to that Mercedes. That definitely does not look like the car that was leading 80%, 70% of the race.
Yeah, Scott Reister is not in the same, I think, headspace at this point in time. That might be the best way to put it. Now dropping into the 3rd position with just 6.5 minutes to go. There is a battle brewing further back. Spencer Hewins with a mirror full of Giuseppe Ravas. This is for the 7th place on the racetrack. Granted, this is between 2 different categories and with a brand new driver to the field.
Yeah, exactly. This battle obviously will not essentially affect any of these guys' championship, but it could be interesting if he was allowed Rivas to essentially pass him, if he has the pace, to allow him to close the gap to him and Blake Scott. I'm not pretty sure what Hewins' pace is like at this moment in time. The gap between him and Scott is around 2 seconds to 1.3, so it's kind of just going back and forth. Obviously, they're running different cars, so cars do have different strengths in different part of the circuit, but I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see if he can soak in the pressure of Rivas and just close in the gap to Scott.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a distance there for Spencer Hewins to try and make up. It is kind of floating around just under that 2-second mark on board here with Hewins down the front stretch. 5.5 minutes to go. That's about 4 laps for these drivers. They're on lap 29 of 33, so they actually should be coming around to 4 to go the next time by the stripe. So these guys still have a good little bit of racing to go, but things are tightening up and time is certainly running out. There's another battle on racetrack behind these guys, Harry Wills and John Sedlak, who, he was just slow. So actually, no, it's Harry Wills and Chad Klinger, my mistake there. That is for the 9th position on the racetrack. Meanwhile, John Sedlak does have trouble, but from Daniel Tenorio.
And as you can see, two different manufacturers. One of the few Porsches and one of the few Ferraris on the racetrack. The Ferrari goes down the inside into turn 4. The Porsche tries to hang around the outside. Can he do it? Kind of, yes, he can, but unfortunately gets hung out to dry on the exit of turn 5. And, well, that's a beautiful move for 12th place for the 291, looks like it. And, well, I mean, that's just sometimes how you do it into turn 4. Just get the move done, and now you have essentially clear air. Not quite 100% clear, but as you head into the infield section, looks like the Porsche might be just a bit quicker and a bit tidier through that infield section. Just look how much the gap closed in within just essentially turns 8 and 9.
And Tenorio is a teammate to the driver ahead in Harry Wills. They are now 10th and 11th from Twisted Racing Team. It's very interesting then that different manufacturers but the same team are working around to one another. And Harry Wills actually is very, very close at this point to Chad Klinger. This could be a pass on the racetrack here shortly for Harry Wills. Harry Wills is actually in the... looks like he is still in the 10th position, just a little ways back at Chad Klinger, who sits in the 4th position in that AM category.
It's interesting to see because 6th all the way to 10th, they're separated by 5 seconds. Looks like each and every single one of these cars has essentially a 1 second gap between one another. Now, as you can see, Wills is getting close to Klinger, who's getting close to Giuseppe, who's getting close to Hewen. So everybody's just kind of bunching up within 3 minutes to go in. Even though these cars are not directly into a battle between their own classes, the guys ahead of them are. So it's just kind of interesting to see. You do not want to give up the place, but also the guy ahead of you is kind of quicker, so you could essentially allow him to reel the next guy in. So it's kind of an interesting situation that these guys find themselves into, but with only 3 minutes to go, track position is key.
And the extra interesting thing about that, JP, is these drivers, while yes, they're fighting in different categories, they're fighting for points all the same. So Harry Wills wants to get by Chad Klinger to get 1 point closer to the rest of his pro competition. That is a pro paying point if he passes Chad Klinger. Just like if Chad Klinger hangs on to that spot, he gets 1 more point towards the rest of his AM competitors. So there is reason for these guys to battle between classes, although maybe diminished reason to a point. But literally, it is for those points, and they have got to battle, and they have got to hang on, much like Chad Klinger is trying to do. And I'm not sure if it's in his best interest to let Harry Wills go by, but I would at least entertain the idea in his position. I just don't know if I actually would, because again, if he lets Harry Wills go by, that is 1 less point that Chad has towards the rest of his competitors in that amateur category, and he's going to need that point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and think about how much this point means to Wills. He's tied up with Jackson Resende into 3rd place within the standings. He's only 15 points away from Matthew Dench, who is not racing, and he's only 1 point behind Zamperlini, who has crashed. So obviously he's not going to be leading the points because Resende is probably going to be taking the win, but this is a 2nd place guaranteed from the championship right here. And Resende, unfortunately, DNF, but finished all the way down into 10th place, 13th place on last week, so anything can happen, and well, within next week he could be leading the championship.
Yeah, this could be big from Harry Wills. He takes a dive there, 1 car way off the racetrack. That's a lapped Lamborghini. He gives way, but these guys battling. 1, 2, 3, well, 8, 9, 10, more realistically. But in a line, Harry Wills, straight line to the apex. I don't know that he's exactly, I guess, aware of the fact that that is a class, not a class competitor, but a competitor on the racetrack just the same. And he has no obligation, does Chad Klinger, to move out of the way.
Yeah. Absolutely, he does not need to get out of the way, but look at how close, look at how much he's gaining on Giuseppe Rivas. Giuseppe is cracking under pressure at this point in time. The Lamborghini is definitely, looks like it's definitely faster at this moment in time, but Wills definitely just wants to get past the Lamborghini. He just wants that extra point at this moment in time, even if it compromises his chance to getting past Rivas. Rivas goes extremely defensive. Wills is just going to be watching on the sidelines. Can the Lamborghini hang around the outside? Not quite. He's going to be looking to get into the cutback. Oh, probably not quite as well, but this exit is going to be crucial if he wants to get the move done by turn 4.
There was a little bit of netcode contact, a bump to the back end of Giuseppe's machine. Meanwhile, they go down the backstretch. This is going to be interesting to turn number 4. Chad Klinger now back around to the outside, and there's the move from Harry Wills. Contact, maybe. Wills goes around.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. He saw the opportunity, but unfortunately did not, I guess, kind of thought about the result. That Lamborghini was just lining himself up for essentially a cutback move, and just did not work out, as we do have, looks like, the white flag.
So this might be it for Jackson Resende. I think this is the final lap. Yes, he's coming around to take the checkers. Jackson Resende wraps things up from Interlagos. A win for the Brazilian in Brazil. How about that for Tony Kanaan, Esports Brazil, the driver in the number 225 BMW gets it done. Second place goes to Alex Trevor across the line. Then it's Scott Reister in that fourth spot. The amateur winner, how about Josue Marado Manriquez in the number 156, but in the fourth position and winning in amateur competition. That's huge. Meanwhile, here comes Tyler Campbell to wrap up the overall top 5.
I mean, look at how much the victory meant to Resende, but also to Manriquez. It just means so much to win on your home track, obviously after a lot of challenges. And look at this, looks like everybody's kind of battling throughout the line. Looks like Klinger holds into 9th place, Rivas into 8th, and looks like Tenorio finishes in 10th. The timing is going a bit crazy, but looks like the top 10 is all settled and done, as we do have a few battles, but looks like not close enough to change essentially the running order.
Yeah, a few more battles, but nothing really changing. Joshua Benjamin behind Federico Tamayo and in front of William Valdez. But yeah, these positions not changing as they come across the start-finish line, and that is just about it for the entire field that was on the lead lap. But this is huge for Jackson Resende to get his second win on the season and at his home venue. This is big time for the driver of the 225, potentially even bigger for the driver of the 156, though, Josue Marado Manriquez. Hopefully we get to speak with him here in a few moments. This is big for these drivers getting their race wins. JP, this is going to be interesting.
This is going to be amazing. I cannot wait to hear from Resende. He's definitely going to be excited. We saw how much it meant when he crossed the line, just weaving the car in. Well, not only that, he's definitely going to be taking over the championship lead at this moment in time, so a perfect race for him.
Certainly, Jackson Resende getting it done. This is going to be big. Stay tuned here with PitStopTV. A lot more coverage is on the way from Interlagos. We've just wrapped things up. Cars coming into the pit lane to wrap things up after their 50 minutes of competition. Post-race interviews on the way. Don't go anywhere.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
SoundArt is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it SoundArt. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? SoundArt gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual Interlagos, the virtual Autodromo Jose Carlos Passe. Certainly a fantastic racing facility here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and a fantastic place to have some GT3 action. Not the first time we've had it on the channel, but potentially the best so far. A lot of storylines to work through, and we'll do our best coming up. We'll hand things over first to race winner Jackson Resende, standing by with JP Costa.
Então, Rezende, infelizmente não podemos escutar de você semana passada, mas pelo jeito valeu a pena, né? Ganhar em Interlagos, obviamente, a nossa casa. É tão bom ver um brasileiro com essa pintura assim, essa pintura absolutamente linda. É tão bom ver você ganhar. Mas conta aí, como é que foi o qualifying? Óbvio, tu infelizmente não conseguiu pegar pole, mas valeu a pena no final.
Boa noite a todo mundo que está assistindo a transmissão. Cara, ali no Qualify ali, por um meio décimo ali, perdi a pole para o Scott, estava muito rápido. Ele na largada ali, consegui ficar atrás dele, não perder ali a segunda posição e tentei acompanhar ele até na parada do box, porque tava complicado, o carro saiu muito de frente ali, não conseguia chegar perto dele, comecei a ficar ali e na saída do box coloquei um pouco menos de combustível para tentar sair na frente dele. Aí, acho que ele teve algum acidente, algum enrosco, eu não vi direito aqui ainda. E aí, quando eu vi que abriu um gap, eu comecei a salvar o combustível para dar para chegar até o final. E foi, como você falou, foi sensacional ganhar aqui em Interlagos. É um prazer estar correndo em casa. E eu só tenho a agradecer a Liga, meu companheiro de treino, o Fábio, teve infelicidade nessa corrida. E agradecer os patrocinadores da equipe, que é a construtora Zimmermann, a B8 Seguros, e os apoiadores da equipe, que é a Helsinki Veld, a Logitech, a Main Gear, a Micro Center e a Mais Motorsport. É um prazer estar aqui.
Bom, é um prazer tê-lo aqui de novo, mas rapidinho, antes de eu deixar você ir embora, como é que tu vai se preparar agora para a próxima corrida em Nürburgring? Obviamente bem diferente dessa pista aí, mas eu espero te ver de novo em primeiro lugar.
Eu também espero estar aqui semana que vem na cabine de transmissão mais uma vez, mas eu vou treinar forte mais uma vez para essa etapa, como tenho treinado todas as outras, para tentar ali estar na disputa no final do campeonato ali pelo título.
Bom, agora no campeonato, obviamente, o Matthew Dent, ele não correu, então você com certeza vai estar ultrapassando ele no campeonato e vai estar liderando a partir dessa semana. Então, assim, obviamente eu devia ser imparcial, mas eu estou torcendo um pouquinho por você. Mas isso aí, tudo de bom, tudo certo, até semana que vem e parabéns pela corrida.
Valeu, obrigado, até semana que vem.
So, that was Jackson Resende, and, well, he was not overly excited about qualifying, obviously half a tenth got him away from pole, but after that, he just kept the pace to Scott Reister. He said that Scott was just so quick, and he was kind of struggling at one point to keep up because he was just understeering. The front tires were kind of heating up, and he was just struggling to keep up essentially with him. And then on this pit stop, he actually underfueled the car just to make sure he got in front of Scott. And obviously after the incident that Scott had, he just kind of backed off, saved fuel, and it was just enough to get away on the finish flag, essentially just finish with enough fuel. And obviously he's excited for next week. He's excited to be leading the championship at this point in time, and well, he said he's going to be practicing just as hard for Nürburgring as he did this week.
Awesome. Thank you so much to JP and Jackson taking that interview in Portuguese. You know what, JP, you are a fantastic asset in this case to make sure we have you on the series. We are going to move on then to Alex Trebor finishing in that second position. You can see him here taking his pit stop. That was so late in the race. And we'll bring Alex in. And Alex, what a fantastic race. Now, I know it wasn't always looking like you had a shot necessarily for second place, but obviously things happened ahead of you. The opportunity opened up, and you took it like, I don't even know, a running bull potentially. Did they do that in Brazil? I don't know, but either way, taking hold of an opportunity and grabbing second place this evening at Interlagos.
Yeah, it was definitely a very good race, a very tough race. I'm very sweaty at the moment. Yeah, I was not expecting the finish in P2, but I was certainly hopeful of trying to at least keep with the front pack. And I know I had pace here. I didn't get as much practice as I wanted to here, and so I didn't really qualify very well. But this track is tough on the Mercedes. It's hard on the curbs and everything, and a lot of places here you kind of have to ride them kind of hard, and so it's very upsetting on the car. So with that combined, and track getting super hot as the race went on, definitely provided a tough challenge.
And Alex, I know you guys at FTR got a bit of a slower start here in the series, but sporting all those brilliant colors, you guys have picked up rather quickly. You taking second place this evening, your teammate Tyler Campbell there in fifth. I know things didn't work out quite so well for Jack Niederbach off the start, but certainly a great run now for you guys and getting into that mid-season swing. How do you picture the rest of the season going?
Well, I mean, it's obvious we got the pace. Jack was ahead of me 2 spots, qualified fifth, so he was looking pretty good in the Ferrari today, and he unfortunately got taken out in some battles early on, and just a bad luck on that, unfortunately. But and congrats to Tyler, though. He qualified pretty low, just couldn't get the pace together, and I think he ended up spinning twice throughout the whole race, and still recovered and still made up at the fifth. So really happy for FTR and KM Cargo. We definitely put up some points today, and hoping to try to even out some of these leaders here soon.
Certainly a big points day for the number 230. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out there with FTR Esports?
Yeah, definitely FTR, KM Cargo, all the guys at FTR that joke around and want to have some fun and try to make everybody better. And congrats to Jackson on the win today. He definitely was flying in that BMW, and was hard to catch. Couldn't be catched.
A big second place, a podium for Alex Trebor. If you want to get into the spirit, I guess that would be a silver medal. Congratulations this evening, Alex. Big time points, and I can't wait to see how you do next week at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Congrats to Scott on the P3 as well too. I was hoping to have a little bit more fighting with him, and also wanted to say I do apologize to Harry again. We didn't get a contact or 0 wrecks or anything, but looked like it was just really close and a little bump without knowing it. And so Harry and I had a really good race last week, and I was looking forward to another one again. But thank you again tonight, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week.
Thanks once again for your time. I'm glad you mentioned some of that stuff with Harry Wills. That was a, hairy battle, if you will. I'll stop it there with the dad jokes, but again, congratulations in second place this evening, Alex.
I'll take all the dad jokes. I got a 2-year-old, so I need to catch up.
Well, there you go. So Alex Trebor getting things done, finishing second place, buddy. We'll see you.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Alex Trebor, a very strong run for him and the FTR Esports team as a whole. We'll hand things down then to our amateur race winner, JP Costa, with Josue Morado Manriquez.
So Josue, a fantastic race for you. I mean, it was just a quiet race. I mean, you were just running your own race ever since lap 1, and you just kind of gapped everybody on the amateur class. You even gapped the guys in pro class. I mean, you were so consistently clean and so consistently fast. You could have been a pro driver in this race.
Oh, sorry, you can hear me now? Oh, hi everyone. So yes, fourth place is an amazing result for me. I mean, there were several factors to this result. First of all, this is like a local track for me, Interlagos. It's a track that I enjoy a lot. And well, I had a very good quali in 9th place. And after that, there were a crash ahead of me in lap 1. I just went through. And after that, I had a very clean area, so I could make a very clean race, a very consistent pace, take care of my tires. And in the middle of the race, I just found out that I had a really good race pace. So it was a very nice experience, this race.
So you just mentioned that you found out you had an excellent race pace. Do you think you've probably pushed a bit, harder early on in the race? Do you think you could possibly have challenged for an overall podium tonight?
No, the guys ahead were very fast. I mean, I just took my comfortable race pace. I could get very focused because I was alone really all the race. I didn't fight for any position the whole race, so I could use all these ingredients to just take it home in a very nice place.
Well, I mean, it's going to be fantastic for you. I mean, it has to be fantastic. Obviously, you're an amateur driver at this point in time, but taking 4th place overall is just an amazing result, and definitely going to be pumping you up in the championship, and definitely, I mean, hyping you up for Nürburgring. And how do you prepare after such a great result?
Yes, this is a very boost for confidence. No? I mean, the last 2 races were not as good as this. I had some mistakes, I had some crashes, and there were not good results, but this was my time, and I had a nice race, and I hope for the next races things are better like today was.
Well, I certainly do hope so, because you seem to be an amazing driver, amazingly clean. But before I let you go, who do you have to thank for your result?
I mean, for all my friends, my family, my sponsors that are, I know they are watching this transmission, so regards for them.
Well, I'm sure they're ecstatic with your result. Well done, Josue. I'm happy for you, and hopefully we can talk to you next week.
Yeah, I hope the same.
Well, that was Josue Morado Manriquez, 1st place finisher. I mean, what a race from him, and he's definitely happy. But back it over to you, Andrew, for our 2nd place finisher on the amateur class.
And it's going to be Blake Scott, somebody who's got a race win under his belt and certainly has a lot of race pace under his belt as well, a lot of speed in that 167. Blake, it's not quite that race win that you would have wanted here in the amateur category, not quite even that overall top 5, but the fact that you and Josue were so close means something big for you amateur competitors. A lot of speed tonight in that 167.
Yeah, thank you. I was feeling good out there. I didn't help myself with my bad qualifying laps, but I was pushing hard, and towards the end I lost my tires. But no, Jose drove a great race, and he definitely had the pace tonight.
Well, you certainly had a lot of pace yourself, buddy. That 167 was moving. Now, again, Josue was just quick this evening. He said it was one of his kind of home tracks, but this has got to continue to be promising for the 167. We've talked to you a couple of times now this season, and we're only 3 races in. How do you feel you stack up for the 5 races left?
I feel pretty comfortable, actually. Next 2 races, I'm very, very comfortable with the tracks. I'm looking forward to those. But yeah, I'm looking good with points. I don't know, just take it one by one, and we'll see how it goes.
Of course, tonight was a night of attrition. Let's back up a little bit to that. You had Spencer Hewins, brand new to the series, right behind you, bearing down and under a second behind. And there was a lot going on around. Cars flipping over on lap number 1 out of turn number 3. How do you miss that kind of stuff? How do you hold composure for an entire 50-minute race?
Yeah, I got pretty lucky there on lap 1. There was that big incident there, cars flipping everywhere. But yeah, just being cautious, not trying to, keep it full throttle and hope I make it through. I was, I slowed down, tried to pick my way through there. It is a long race. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun out there. There was a lot of chaos, but everyone drove well. It was a lot of fun out there.
So big time speed so far out of Blake Scott. Buddy, who do you have to thank there at Scott Racing?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dad, Mark Scott, over at Scott Racing. Grandparents for watching back at home, and the rest of the crew. Thanks, guys.
Blake Scott getting things done this evening. A second place in the amateur category, a sixth place overall. Have a great night, buddy. We'll see you at Nürburgring.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Again, Blake Scott, a lot of big stuff happening for that number 167 operation. And Mark Scott in the 166 that we saw a little bit of earlier on. JP, a great night of racing from Interlagos. I would expect no different, but let's run down through our unofficial race results. Finishing first, of course, Jackson Resende in that 225 with Alex Trebor close behind. Well, not exactly close behind, 12 seconds back. Scott Reister another 5 seconds back in third. Then again, you get that amateur winner in Jose Morado Manriquez in the number 4 position, with Tyler Campbell rounding out in 5th. A big time run for he and his FTR teammate there in 2nd. Big time stuff for them. Blake Scott comes in at 6th overall. Spencer Hewins in 7th, but they are 2nd and 3rd in amateur competition, with Giuseppe Rivas in 8th overall, Chad Klinger in 9th, and Daniel Tenorio out of Ohio in 10th.
Rounding off in P11, we do have John Sedlak, EMM Lake on 12th place, a quiet race for him. Armando Bejarran in 13th place. The 125 of Rob Rodriguez Jr., sorry, my tongue is getting a bit twisted, on 14th place. Bruno Alcaraz in 15th place. Federico Tamayo in 16th. Joshua Benjamin 17th. Definitely not the race that he wanted after 2 strong results in the past weeks. William Valdez 18th. William Coffey 19th, and Scott Cranbrough rounding off your top 20.
If you fall back to the 21st position, you find Harry Wills from Twisted Racing Team, then Philip Ranieri in that 22nd position in the number 108 from G&G Racing, then Tyler Graff from the, I will just say the Graff Graphics, I guess, stable, not listed with a team, just listed as independent. But there's Mark Scott in 24th from Scott Racing, and Aldo Seckler from Radicals Online. JP Alfonso checks in after his incident with Scott Reister in the 27th position, and you got a feel for Fabio Zamperlini in that 27th spot. Should have been so much higher in the order, but he does check in ahead of Billy Bowerman in the number 102, as well as Stu Leslie in the 183 on his own team, and Mike Braun from Team Empire Silver.
In 31st place, after a few spins and some bad luck, Amaro Jr. WF Amaro Jr. finished off in 31st. 5 laps down, unfortunately. Derek Dennis, some guy that we knew was just, kind of getting away from everybody, not getting the way, in 31st. Sean Patterson in 33rd. Michael Burnett, 34th. Clarence Rosa in 35th. Russell Burton in 36th, and the 245 of Jack Niederbach in 37th place, unfortunately 31 laps down.
We do want to remind you about our partners here with the North American Racing League. Of course, Race Lab, TAM Livery, and JS Consulting doing a lot of the hard behind-the-scenes work helping out around the series. Race Lab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And this is a program that I know a lot of drivers use. It is very, very popular across the iRacing.com motorsport simulator, so certainly if you haven't looked into them just yet, I recommend doing so. It is a quality product over there at RaceLab. JS Consulting provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League website design and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. And TAM Liveries offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. Several of the paint schemes in this field have been produced by TAM Livery. Used by pros and amateurs, you will definitely look good on the track. That's not to say we don't have our own partners here at PitStopTV. Of course we do, in the form of Tucson Sound Art, where your picture is your music. You provide the image you want, and they will custom create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com and use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your purchase. Ever wish you could have a race engineer on speed dial? Well, now you can, thanks to RacePace, a driver development service and setup shop all in one. Work with Tyler Campbell, a real-world race engineer, to set up your game before your next race. Take up pace with RacePace. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy, and at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, there we go, that is the focus. With locations in Auburn, Lewiston, Naples, and Saco, Maine, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine owner Ashley Bollier is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. Contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. The official graphic and camera provider of PitStopTV, you can grab your iBroadcast cameras today at www.pitstoptv.com. BAM Racing Videos by a race fan for the racing community. Check out BAM Racing Videos on Facebook and YouTube for the latest local track content around Indiana, North Carolina, South Carolina, and many more states. He travels around each weekend bringing you action from a new racetrack. It seems like every day of the week there's always something to watch at BAM Racing Videos. That will do it here from Interlagos, but JP, I do got to ask, final thoughts as we wrap up here from round number 3 of 8.
I mean, Interlagos just showed again why it's such a world-class racetrack. I mean, it's definitely the best racetrack in Brazil, probably the best in South America, probably the best in America. That's going to be a controversial opinion right there, but obviously I'm going to be totally biased on this opinion. But yeah, it just shows, how great racing, how a great racetrack is built and it can provide great racing with, any category, any class of cars. And these guys just showed that you can have great fun race, go side by side to corners. You can even have strategy thrown at you at some point, and it just provides perfect racing. It's just, I mean, I love this circuit. You know it, Andrew. Everybody knows it, and well, it's just amazing.
Well, you've got reason to love it. It is your home track, and I've loved my home tracks throughout the years just the same, so you've got plenty of reason to love this place. It puts on fantastic racing on and off the sim. I mean, look at these cars snaking through, again, what feels like an infield portion here at Interlagos. So much to be happy with in this circuit as your home circuit. We've got a lot coming up here at PitStopTV throughout the coming days. In fact, tomorrow night, we're right back at it with more road course racing. It is the MSRA National Series. Emerson Arden and Cole Freilich on the call tomorrow night with coverage from Watkins Glen. Then on Tuesday, we bring you the Nork iRacing Series as they go to Legacy Daytona International Speedway at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time. It is the final round of the regular season. A lot to watch for so many drivers. There's so much on the line in the final race to extend their championship hopes or potentially start their playoff hopes. Wednesday evening, we bring you the finale for the International Online Racing League, established in 2013. They've come to the SimIRacing.com with IndyCar action. They go to Auto Club Speedway out in Fontana, California to wrap things up in a couple of evenings' time. It will be here before you know it. Then next week, of course, the Outlaw Sim Series, following that broadcast with IRL. Actually, during that broadcast, they will have coverage from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for round number 5, I do believe it is over there, potentially round 6. I gotta get myself re-upped on Outlaws Sim Series action. I believe it will be round 6 for them at Las Vegas. And then Thursday evening, we'll of course have round number 4 in North American Racing League competition at the Nürburgring. I do want to urge all viewers out there, if you're potentially into late model racing, short track, oval, late model racing, by all means, check out pitstoptv.com/Cars Esport Tour. You can still register and get into the Cars Esport Tour. Yes, you've missed one race, but there is one drop week and plenty of time to make up some points. Race 1 was last night at North Wilkesboro. Race number 2 is August 18th at Myrtle Beach. Please do follow along with us here at PitStopTV, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Wherever you're watching on, wherever you're following along with our social media updates, by all means, we thank you for doing so. It means so much to us. Every like, every follow, every subscriber that we get, it means a ton. All the comments, replies that we've gotten lately, it really means a lot to us and helps justify all of the work that we put in, day out, week in, week out. It really does mean a lot to us, so we thank you for following following along with us on PitStopTV social media platforms. Again, Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, Twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, and YouTube.com/C/PitStopTV1. That will do it from the virtual Interlagos. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. JP Costa and Trey Shuttlesworth alongside this evening. It's been a fantastic one from Sao Paulo. We look forward to joining you once again in 1 week's time from the Nürburgring over in Germany. Make sure to tune in next Thursday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. That's 6:15 p.m. Pacific time for round number 4. My name has been Andrew Cardinale IV, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.